Miami Dolphins need to overhaul a lot. So when I need Miami Dolphins information and even suggestions, I go to my dude from the Miami Herald, Omar Kelly. Been covering the team for years and does it as well as anyone else. He recently wrote a piece on MiamiHerald.com, an ideal free agent plan for Miami Dolphins, 6 moves that they can make. Starting number 1. Miami's already shaken down Teron Armstead and Bradley Chubb, creating roughly $25 million in cap space this offseason after tendering Cater Kahu, a restricted free agent. Wouldn't stop there, though. He said he would shake down Jordan Brooks, a $6 million roster bonus.
Shake down is funny. When you say shake down, it's just a funny connotation I had. Like, I'm going to shake you down. Give me my money.
Lowering his base salary to create another $5.7 million in cap space. He'd also borrow from the bank of Tua, reworking his contract.
And that's the thing. All these guys that sign these big deals eventually have to give some of that or defer some of that money back. And it happens the following year. Look what happened in Dallas. Dak Prescott and CD Lamb, they both are deferring money to free up cap space. That's going to happen with Tua. That probably happens. That happens a lot with a lot of these contracts that get signed.
Listen, Omar says the reason you might want to do that, sure, it might hurt you in the future, but Chris Grier is in a win now situation. If he doesn't win this year, well, all those problems go on to the next general manager.
But look, you're the perfect. You know exactly about this. You're general manager for your other team in the NFC, and from your hometown. That guy's been abusing that black card for the last 20 years, and it finally caught up on him. But it was a good 2 decades of competing and having contending teams try to win a championship. So Chris Grier, if he can get another extra 20 years, I think he'll do that.
Oh yeah. I'll rob Peter to pay Paul.
Absolutely.
It secures me another year.
20
years.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he'll do that.
I'll do that. Yeah. And once again, if everything goes to crap, that's the next guy's problem. Not our
next
girl's problem.
Hey, man, look, I looked out for you, man.
Mm-hmm.
I looked out for you when nobody wanted to give you money. You were hurt.
Number 2, speaking of Tua Tagovailoa, last season should have taught everyone what happens to the Dolphins when there isn't a quality backup quarterback. Since Chris Grier shouldn't be allowed to pick another quarterback for this franchise, yes, the trade to Josh Rosen in 2009 counts. Omar would like to go the veteran route, sticking with familiar Mike McDaniel guys like Jimmy Garoppolo, Josh Dobbs, Trey Lance.
No, I don't know. Yo, Trey Lance is no better than who's that bum you had? Oh, Skylar Thompson.
Tyler Huntley. Garoppolo and Dobbs both give them the Mike White offer. 2 years, $8 million with $4 million guaranteed. Whoever accepts it first becomes Tua's backup. Teddy Bridgewater, break in case of emergency. I'm down for that.
I don't see nothing wrong with that. I don't. But you definitely need a capable. I think that's probably one of the top 5 most important positions in the NFL right now. Because obviously he's a quarterback. If you have a starting quarterback, you need a capable backup for minimum 2 games, 4 games at max. You don't want to go if you're looking into the 6 games with a backup quarterback. That's probably I think 6 games is the max you want your backup quarterback playing or having to start.
Yeah,
but you want somebody who's capable and have had good starting experience. That's why the Jimmy Garoppolo's not bad. Jimmy doesn't impress me, but he wins.
He does win.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you
he almost won a darn Super Bowl.
Well, he couldn't make a throw in 3rd down with Emmanuel Sanders was wide open. He split the Kansas City secondary, but he should have put it right there, and then the Niners would have been chance. But nonetheless, he's a capable backup who it doesn't matter how you win. It doesn't matter if the game is ugly, if it's a 13-10 game, 17-13. Just win the game so that you're not games back from teams ahead of you while your quarterback's hurt. You have to always look into the season as if Tua's going to get hurt. That's just you always got to think that. I know it's not the great way of thinking, but you have to learn from your mistakes. If something happens every year or something happens consistently, then there's a standard of this happening.
Of course. Out of Garoppolo, Dobbs, and Bridgewater, what name excites you the most?
I think a lot of people are gonna say like the Dobbs, but because he's mobile and stuff. I think Jimmy G is actually the better quarterback because of the weapons that you do have. Just get him the ball and just give it to. If Tyreek's still on this team and Tyreek's back to the cheetah of 2023 and 2022.
He seems to find ways to win. He's played under Mike
Right.
McDaniel before, and he's a little thirsty because he was out of the league last year. A little thirsty.
He wasn't out of the. Was he out of the league?
Yeah,
I thought he was
suspended.
a backup.
He was suspended and then didn't get picked. Murray was suspended for drug use. And then he didn't get picked up. And they were always talking about bringing him back. But okay. Number 3, Omar says, fix the trenches. That should be Miami's
number
top priority.
That should be number 1.
He says number 1. He says their top priority. They are looking to going after recently released Commanders defensive tackle Jonathan Allen. Even though Allen missed half of the 2024 season with a torn pectoral muscle, he has an impact on the field, especially against the run. He delivered 42 sacks in 8 seasons. You would offer the 30-year-old a 3-year, $36 million deal with $22 million guaranteed. Re-signing Calais Campbell, that would also be on the agenda. I think we all agree that was a very, very wise choice last year to have him on the team. And if you can get him back playing at similar to the level he played last year, that's a no-brainer. $5 million base. $5 million base. Incentive-laden deal.
This is tough because it's not that I don't think Calais should not return to Miami or Miami shouldn't offer Calais a contract. I do believe that should happen. But my thing is, the reason why it's tough is if I'm Calais, and I want to go play another season, I am that damn good that I should be on a team that's contending for a championship.
Right.
And like Calais Campbell is one of those gentlemen that you would want that his career ends with him hoisting the Vince Lombardi trophy. Yeah. Like that would be.
And his stock is high right now.
It's always been high.
He's older, but he's like, look what I did.
It's always high. You talking about a gentle giant, like a genuine, just a very good human being who just happens to be a phenomenal athlete and one of the best defensive players in the NFL, still at his age. And yeah, I think if he wants to play another season, he has every right to choose whatever team he wants to play for. I personally for me, after being able to interview that man and knowing that man since he was in college and then seeing his career and then seeing who he is now, I want Calais Campbell to win a championship. Like that's that is one of the things I'm rooting for.
Is that he likes defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver. He thrived in his system. Maybe Anthony Weaver could convince him to stay and play here in Miami at least one more season. Omar is also about re-signing Raekwon Davis, who was released from the Indianapolis Colts earlier this week, and signing Mario Edwards, a South Florida native who started 45 games his 10-year career in the NFL.
Who's he? Mario Edwards.
These are the
defensive linemen.
Okay. Yep. Number 4, fix the offensive line in free agency. Might be a little tricky though. Everybody seems to be overpriced, aged, or come with some baggage. Dolphins don't believe in paying big money to an offensive guard and haven't for decades. So don't expect a deal to be north of $10 million this season. It's more realistic that Miami will sign a second-tier free agent guard or two for a 3-year, $21 million contract. That like the one they gave to Aaron Brewer, San Francisco, Aaron Banks, Pittsburgh's James Daniels, Baltimore's Patrick McCowery. They're all top targets. We'll see. So it looks like maybe possibly a second tier. He's also not afraid to re-sign Isaiah Wynn or Robert Jones to a 1-year, $2 million deal. I think that if LSU's, this is Dan Day. This is not Omar Kelly. I think that if LSU's Will Campbell is available in number 13 in the draft, the Dolphins should jump on that. They shouldn't even let the clock wind down. They should just straight up take Will Campbell. He is one of those guys that can be a difference maker on the line. But there's some other ways they can go, of course, in the draft. I really think if there's a decent offensive lineman available at that 13th pick, Vlad, they should go.
Well, this is why I love this weekend, because today everybody's got to be under the cap by today, right? And when we saw the free agent market, we thought that Ronnie Staley was going to be in the market. He was going to be the number one guy that most teams, especially if you're looking for a left tackle. I thought he was heading to Kansas City. But sometimes players are just free agents because teams allow them to do it, but they have every plan of re-signing them. Ravens re-signed them 3 years, $64 million. Okay, so now Ronnie Staley's out. Now you got to go back to the draft board and like, okay, I thought there was a chance for us to sign this player or so-and-so, and there still may be a chance to sign certain free agents to shore up weaknesses on your roster, that you're able to draft a. Sometimes you don't want to draft a need, especially if everybody knows you need that. Sometimes somebody might, C block you in or draft block you in selecting that player. So if you're able to get these players and sign players to positions that you need to shore up, it allows you a little bit more freedom in the draft process,
right? To get the best player available, or
which
to
is
get
why
another need, or
right,
something else.
Because like look at Cleveland now, like re-signing Garrett, which
means Abdul Carter's probably off the board.
Abdul Carter's probably off the board,
even though he's quote unquote the best player in the draft.
Even though he was the best player on the draft, and you would have thought if Cam Ward goes to Tennessee, everything opens up, because now, what if they don't want to sign a quarterback, or they don't want to draft a quarterback? Now you got to talk to them, and you have to offer them a good selection if you want to draft the Shedeur Sanders or whatever quarterback you may, or whatever player that you may want. This is what's great about the free agency market, because after this week, you'll start to get to understand where your team
picture becomes more clear,
very much more clear.
Omar's number 5 of 6. He says it's abundantly clear Javon Holland will be playing elsewhere in 2025. Go make your money. I don't mind that. Javon, he's a good guy. He's a good player. If he could stay healthy, he's one of the best in the league. Dolphins would rather save that money and go other places, like 49ers safety
Eric Reed. Oh no, I'm sorry.
Talanoa
Mufanga.
Yeah, Mufanga.
Yeah, no, he's good. And Eric Reed is also available, the Kansas City safety. That is definitely better than the Jordan Poyer Javon Holland combo last year. And Javon is always good. Javon was always good for a comment. He always was good to the media, giving them answers, and you missed that. But the market that he wants, it's a little pricey.
Yeah, for right now. And Jordan Poyer's starting days are in the rearview mirror. So it's looking like Miami's going to have to go after somewhat affordable safety, veteran safety. And also, he's all about re-signing Elijah Campbell. He's more of a core special teams player. Put that on the to-do list. And last but not least, number 6, speaking of players to re-sign, Miami should make an effort to retain free agent linebacker Terrell Dotson and Anthony Walker Jr., but not make crazy offers. Walker deserves a slight bump from the 1-year, $1.2 million contract he signed this past offseason. Dolphins should also extend 1 year, $2 million to linebackers Duke Riley, LSU, Benito Jones, decent nose tackle, but not a legit NFL starter, Deshaun Hand, defensive lineman and upside receiver, Dwayne Eskridge, D. Eskridge, and cornerback Ciaran Neal, who's also a special teamer and a gunner. And also wouldn't mind using a little bit more of Jeff Wilson Jr. for the right price this season. So it's looking like some of the guys we already have, getting them on a decent contract and just adding to our depth. So that's a lot, man. It's a lot. But yeah, it's interesting. Now you got the legal tampering. So Vlad, you can go out there. You can try to get our.
Hey, don't tell. You know what? Enough of legal tampering. I hate that.
Okay, so you can negotiate, guys.
It's like, really? Come on, Dan. I said this a couple of weeks. Really, legal tampering?
That's an oxymoron.
It's such a damn. It's not even. It's just moronic. Forget oxymoron. It's just moronic.
Take the oxy out of it.
Just take the oxy out. It's legal. It's not legal tampering. It's negotiations.
Right. So maybe you can get some of these big gets at the price that you want. And like you said, all of a sudden that changes kind of the draft. What if you hit on 2 offensive linemen that you really, really like, and you get them for the right price, and they're veterans. And you kind of shore up that part of the line. Maybe you say, whoa, maybe we don't need to go with the offensive lineman in the first round and 13th.
You may be able to
trade back and do something else.
You may be able to sign one that's been released because of a money situation. And if with all the moves that they did with the players that they said they weren't going to re-sign or they did release, they have 23 right now, right? 23 million under the cap right now, you said? Something to that effect? And 24 million is going to be added tomorrow once the calendar year happens, because the salary cap is going to go up 24 million in 2025. So I'm thinking, if I'm doing my math, they nearly have above 45 million in salary to play with.
I just like the idea of the phone call. Our text, Tua, need to come to the office tomorrow when you get in. It's all good stuff. All good stuff.
And I think more money will be added if I think
not a big deal.
Well, hold on.
Just want to run something by you. Just
How does that work?
done.
Because that contract doesn't kick in until now.
Well, they're gonna, but once it kicks in, they can defer the money still this year, even.
So they
further
can
back.
do that with both he and Waddle and Tyreek.
You can always restructure.
Now, if you do that, if you restructure Tyreek's contract, Tyreek's here.
Tyreek's here?
Like he's gonna be here. Like there's no trading Tyreek.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because then it just becomes
Because
just
if
messy.
I'm Tyreek Hill and there may be calls being made to teams. Teams may give the Dolphins a call to see if there's any interest of trading the star wide receiver. Because I don't think the free agency market's going to be. We looked at the free agency market at wide receivers. It's not that good.
Mm-hmm.
We look at the free agency in the wide receivers in this year's college draft. It's not that good. So the move is actually to make a trade with other teams for certain receivers.
Yeah. But what are you going to get? That's the other thing. We're going to have to wait and see. So it should be interesting. These next couple of weeks, we'll get some clarity as the free agency period has basically begun.